Alone with Rome.
Welcome back. My guest is the president of the UFC. UFC 104 is going to take place here in Los Angeles on October 24th. I'm joined in studio by Dana White. Dana, good to have you. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. All right, let's start first with UFC 104 here in Los Angeles. Machida and Rua. Styles make fights. These guys are totally different. Before we talk about the big picture for the sport, break that one down. How do you think that goes because the styles are so different?
That's a great fight because basically I've been saying about Lyoto Machida, once this guy starts to feel comfortable inside the octagon and feel like this is his home, he's going to turn it on and become a finisher. And he has. You've seen that in his last two fights against very good opponents. Now, Shogun Rua, 2 years ago, they were saying this guy's the best 205-pounder in the world. He'll beat Chuck Liddell. He'll beat this guy and that guy. He had a knee surgery. Came back, blew his knee out again. So he had two back-to-back knee surgeries. Finally got his groove going now. He's had a couple of fights under his belt. It's going to be a very interesting fight with two guys in their prime and two guys who could potentially be not only the best 205-pounder in the world, but pound-for-pound best fighter.
Would like to see him and Silva, different weight classes, but could that fight ever happen?
Yeah, and really not different weight classes. If you look at it, Anderson Silva's 2 fights away from cleaning out an entire division, and he's had 2 big fights at 205 pounds where he's looked absolutely phenomenal. He's actually done better at 205 than he did at 85. So, yeah, I think we're probably a couple fights away from seeing a mega fight like that.
All right, Dan, big picture. Are you close to getting a network deal for the sport?
We've been close to a network deal for years now. The problem is that it's not the right deal. You know, I'm not going to just jump on. There's been lots of guys who came out trying to compete with me and ran right after network deals because they had to do it. I don't have to get a network deal. I think that a network deal would help us. You know, it would take us to another level, but I'm in no hurry. When the right deal comes, I'll take it.
What about mainstream acceptance? Is that something you're looking for, or do you not need that?
Nah. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. This really right now is the most viable sports franchise on the planet. And we're taking our time. We're not going to make any stupid moves. We haven't in the last 9 years. We're not going to start making them now. I think we can do some big things on network TV with the right deal. You know, the thing is that it's like we're always fighting for respect with this sport. You know, they'll put these other leagues on, and they'll, you turn on, hate the ESPN, but ping pong is on and darts and things like that. You know what I mean? UFC belongs on a major network with a deal.
Let me ask you something. The growth has been explosive. It is enormous and it's huge. But in terms of being mainstream, it's still not for everybody.
Right. I agree.
So how do you know it's going to? Yeah, but how do you know it's going to be mainstream though? People aren't afraid of golf.
Right. Right.
But advertisers and viewers may be afraid or may be put off or may be offended by it.
But I think that's behind us now. I really believe that that's behind us. The reality is, whatever misconceptions are out there about the sport, there's never been a death or serious injury, even in the crazy days when there were no rules. This is a real sport. It's not slowing down. It's only getting bigger, and it's going to happen. We're getting sanctioned in Massachusetts and New York this year. We're already in all these different countries, and we will end up being on network television. Right. And the bottom line is, yes, it's not for everybody. But like I said, neither is golf. When we were growing up, you had Channel 3, Channel 5, Channel 8, and Channel 13. There's 500 channels out there. If it offends you, change the channel.
Mm-hmm. When I'm talking about network, I'm talking about over-air network, major network. Are you going to get that?
Yes, it's going to happen. I could be on major over-air network right now. I could be on there right now.
You just don't like the deal that's been presented so far?
I do not like any of the deals.
All right, let's talk about some of the personalities in the sport. You and I, when we last spoke, we talked about Rampage Jackson. Jackson and you were not on the same page. He was upset about some things that you said. Where does that stand right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's still upset, but I'm upset too. We're both mad, and the reality is he made a commitment. Now he's saying, Dana talked me into being the coach on The Ultimate Fighter. He's right. I did talk him into coaching The Ultimate Fighter, but he accepted it. He wanted to do it, and then after the show is a fight. You're supposed to fight now, and he's not keeping his end of the deal. I'm upset about it.
Because he wants to act, he wants to be in a movie, and you said, come on now, this is what you want to do. You'd rather be an actor in the A-Team movie than do this, and he's upset. I mean, is he that sensitive? Is he upset about what you said about his acting career, and is that why he's not fighting?
I think so. Yeah, I think he's very upset about it. But the reality is this is where his money's at. This is where he makes the money. This is where he's going to, is he going to keep cracking off roles in movies and making millions of dollars? Listen, I'm serious when I say this. If that happens for him, there's nobody that'd be happier for him than me. I hope that really could happen for him and he can go act in movies if that's what he wants to do. The reality of it, and these Hollywood agents, you get to talk to these Hollywood agents, and I'm sure you know, you've been in the business a long time, they deliver on about 4% of what they say they can deliver on.
All right, Kimbo Slice fought Roy Nelson. Huge, huge ratings. What did you think about the fight itself?
It was a horrible fight. The fight sucked. And I said this, the thing about this season of The Ultimate Fighter, I said before it even came out, great season. This season's probably one of the best seasons we've ever done, but the first 3 fights were terrible, you know.
Is it going to get better?
It gets better from here on out. The fights get a lot better, and I think people are going to absolutely love this season of The Ultimate Fighter.
Dana, does he have a future? Is Kimbo getting better quickly enough?
Here's the thing about Kimbo. You know, everybody knows all the bad things that I said about him. The one thing about Kimbo that I really respect is this guy could have done a million different freak show things. Every, you know, freak show promoter out there was trying to get him to fight, and he probably could have made a lot more money up front. But this guy came onto The Ultimate Fighter, took my challenge, and is legitimately trying to become a mixed martial artist. Going into that fight with Roy Nelson, Rashad Evans hated him and wanted to get him beat and wanted him off the show and everything else. After that fight, he wanted to work with him. Evans wanted to work with him.
All right, go back to something you've talked about recently. When Strikeforce signed Herschel Walker, what was your first reaction?
Oh, my God. You know, and Herschel Walker, I guess he's out there saying he wants to fight me now and everything else. Listen, I'm 40 years old, okay? I'm too old to fight. Dude, you're 47. You're way too old to fight. Listen, would you say that Herschel Walker was a great football player?
Yes.
Absolutely, right? Now, why did he retire from football? He was too old. So now you think that you're young enough to fight and you're in good enough shape to fight, you know, and people started...
Dana, when he said I want to fight you, now you're not a guy who's ever backed down from a challenge or a fight. Did it go through your mind for 1 minute, you know what? I could take him.
No.
I mean, doesn't everybody have that moment when somebody comes at you, unless it's Brock Lesnar coming at you? Wait a minute, I can take him. He's 47.
I'm 40 years old. I'm doing everything I can to motivate myself to go into the gym and run on the treadmill every day. You know, do I want to fight Herschel Walker? No, I don't want to fight Herschel Walker. Am I disrespecting Herschel Walker in any way? I've met him many times. He's a very nice guy. I like him. He has no business fighting. And for CBS, you know, a network like CBS to be promoting Herschel Walker in a fight, I mean, what I don't want to see...
Can they get that sanctioned?
That's a good question. I want to see what athletic commission is going to sanction him to fight. You know what somebody said to me? What about Randy Couture? I said, are you seriously comparing Herschel Walker to Randy Couture in the fight business? Well, Randy Couture's 2 years younger than him. Should he go try out for the NFL? It's just completely disrespectful. Plus, for CBS to be putting on some type of freak show, that's where I don't want the sport to go.
What is going to happen to Brock Lesnar next?
Lesnar's going to fight Shane Carwin on November 21st in Las Vegas.
That's done? That's official?
Oh, yeah. And the interesting thing about this fight, you know, one of the great exciting things that's happening right now is the heavyweight division in the UFC. It was horrible a few years ago. It's great now. Never been more exciting. This guy's 11-0. His last 4 fights, he's won by knockout. He's 6'5", 265 pounds, going up against Brock Lesnar. Great wrestling, great hands. This is going to be a real heavyweight fight.
I got about 30 seconds. Why did Fedor not accept your contract offer?
Because Fedor's not afraid to come over and fight or do any of this stuff. He's got nutty managers. These guys are from Russia, you know, come into America trying to strong-arm us into some deal that we won't want to do. Go do that to the butcher down the street in Russia. It doesn't work over here in the United States. If this guy wants to come and put himself up against the best fighters in the world, he'll eventually make it to the UFC.
Dana, good to have you in studio. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Pleasure.
Do it again soon. All right. When we come back on the...